Welcome back to Bates Kitchen. Today we are cooking a southern staple. You cannot have summer in the South without coleslaw. I grew up eating two different kinds of coleslaw. My mom made a sweet coleslaw and a vinegar-based coleslaw. It got to where we liked them both so much we couldn't decide which ones to have, so we made them both every time. So since we always make them together, we're gonna have my mom come back on the show and we're gonna do our family's favorite coleslaw for you guys.
Okay, well let me first off give credit where credit is due. The sweet slaw that we eat came from Papa Bill. Later in life, Mama Jane wanted something without as much calories, so the vinegar-based slaw came from Mama Jane.
Well, going back to my grandparents again,
Yes.
and so another recipe that goes ways back. I hope you guys enjoy this as much as we have for literally all of my life.
You're gonna like the slaws, either one.
So this was always my job at the house, and we slice cabbage a little differently than most because we really don't like the bitter part.
Which is the core, the center core. And let's just clarify, you're starting here with a clean head of lettuce, cabbage, sorry, that's already been washed, and you've already pulled off and removed the outer leaves.
Well, I'm pulling the outer leaves off now.
You're pulling them off right now, okay.
Now, a lot of people will just slice right down the middle and then take an angled cut to take the core out, but we really don't want anything bitter in our sweet slaw, so we just avoid that by cutting a straight around the core, because this is the way, evidently, Papa Bill did it.
Yeah.
And then just whatever falls off down there we keep,
right.
And then the rest.
Now this part right here, if you're from the South and you're in the older generation like me, you'll
salt
know.
and eat it.
You save this core and you salt this thing and eat it. Mama Jane would never let us throw this part away because she would eat on this part.
Yeah. So for the sweet slaw, and you know, I've kind of made my own modifications to this a little bit over time. So to tell them apart, I added some purple cabbage and stuff to the sour slaw. And then for the sweet slaw, we love to dice it really, really small.
Yeah, and there's a couple of ways. You can do it by hand like Zach's doing, or you can put it in a food processor and chop it up, or
I'm gonna have to buy one of those.
You can grate it. Or Mama Jane uses just a real simple little metal chopper that you go up and down in your bowl with and chops it. So any way that you want to chop it is fine, but our family likes it chopped really, really fine. If you buy a pre-sliced bag of coleslaw to mix up in the grocery store, it's going to be more like this. It's going to be like this, and that's fine too. But the texture is really important to our family, so they like that really fine, and you can get it really good by hand like Zach's doing.
Well, it's just a lot more consistent.
Yeah.
Because that's really what you're looking for, is that consistency. You get big chunks in there, or mist-sized pieces, it just doesn't come out the same every time.
If you know Zach, Zach dresses everything up. So he's going to take the recipe that we used growing up as a family, and he doctors it up and makes it even more special. So
just add a little color.
Add a little color, and that makes it look fancy, but it tastes good too.
There we go.
At our house, slaw went with just about everything. We eat it with roast, we eat it with barbecue, we eat it with hot dogs. If we're having a meal, our kids always say, are we going to have slaw with it?
And I won't eat fried chicken. You can't eat fried chicken without coleslaw. That's pretty much always the sweet slaw.
Yeah.
When I do fish, I like to do the vinegar slaw, and I even change that up a little further. I add some celery seed. Be careful you're adding celery seed, not celery salt. And that's one of the reasons that when I do the vinegar slaw, we call it sour slaw, but when we do the vinegar slaw, it will be, I like to chop it coarse as well. I just think that goes a lot better with the fish.
Looks pretty.
And it looks a lot, but yeah, you add a little bit of a look to it.
Yeah, if I was guessing about what the preference was in our family, I think it's a pretty even mix of who likes sweet and who likes what we call the sour or the vinegar. I will usually do 2 cabbages of each at a family gathering.
Well, we just did it for Tracy's, Lawson's baby
shower. Yes, so I'll usually have
grilled some hot dogs,
2 heads of sweet, 2 heads of sour, and they usually disappear, both of them.
Now for me, if I'm doing a hot dog, it's sour slaw all the way. If I'm doing fish, it's the vinegar slaw all the way. If I'm doing fried chicken, it has to be the sweet slaw.
You're going to have to try them both. That's all we can say, because they're both good. It's a totally different taste. One has sugar or sweet. One is vinegar. It's totally different, but they're both good. But if you live in the South, and even if you don't, slaw's a staple pretty much, right?
I think so. If not, it should be.
Yeah.
Try this and it will be for you.
Fun fact, you probably didn't know this. When I was dating your daddy, of course, we would hang out at Papa Bill's grocery store / gas station / restaurant. We would hang out there and I would always order slaw. He'd say, do you want anything else? He had barbecue, hot dogs, hamburgers. I'd say, just slaw. I ate so much slaw that he used to say I was part rabbit. But it's because he had the best slaw.
It was the best slaw.
Best slaw I'd ever had.
Alrighty, so let's get in with this. Now there is one thing. When I'm making the slaw, a lot of times I will take a glass bowl, mix in all of my liquid ingredients that she's about to add, all the seasoning and spices, and then I'll put the dry. Like here you'll have this. If you're using purple cabbage, you'll put your purple cabbage in here. If you're using carrots, which I actually am going to add some carrots to your sweet slaw here.
Right.
Just for a little bit of color. You'll add them around there, and then you just kind of pour the dressing over it and mix them up. But I asked Mom, I said, do you mind if we do that this time? She said, I don't know what I put in. She doesn't measure. She said, I just got to look at it based on the amount of cabbage and see what looks right. I'm going to put the recipe in the description, but we're not going to call it out with all the measurements because she just does it by, which but honestly, if you're using cabbage heads.
He's going to keep close eye. And the size of your cabbage head can vary. So we start out and we use anywhere from 1/3 cup to 1/2 cup of sugar, depending on your cabbage size and how many cabbages you're doing.
I'm gonna open it here.
Yeah, this fancy sugar.
We're just doing one for this one. This won't even be like a family dinner. This will just be like a snack.
I say you can start out small amounts because you can always add extra, but you can't go back and take it out. So we're going to start small, and if we need to add more, we will. You'll get these measurements down. We'll do a taste test in a minute, see if we need more. So basically,
like this because this saves the dishwasher bowl for her.
Yeah. Basically, your 3 ingredients for sweet slaw, you're going to add more and doctor it up. But for Papa Bill's, it's sugar, sweet relish.
Oh, yeah. I got to have the sweet
relish. Dukes Mayonnaise. That's it. 3 ingredients. Now, you're going to doctor it up and tell us, make it fancier for us.
Oh, I ain't going to make this fancier. I'm going to do this just like I was a kid.
All right. So some of the juice getting in there with the pickle relish is even better.
Same as with the chicken salad.
Yes. Now, I know I sound like I'm doing a commercial for Dukes Mayonnaise. This is from South Carolina. That's probably why I love it. But no, it really is the taste of Dukes, too. It's different from other mayonnaises. If you use a sweet-based mayonnaise, like, you know, they make,
Miracle Whip or something,
it's going to change the amount. So you do need to know that. We use Duke. It's not a sweet mayonnaise.
It's a real mayonnaise.
It's a good mayonnaise. And we're just going to put this in here like this and stir it up and see if we need to add more. You're going to get those measurements down for everybody later.
Oh, yeah.
I'm going to let you do the stirring.
It's about 3/4 of a cup.
I'm going to let you do the stirring, and then I'll add
this is my job back at the house.
That's right. We'll add
We definitely need more mayonnaise. We know that.
Yep. So we'll go ahead and... Now, slaw, if you mix it up ahead of time and refrigerate it and let it sit,
it gets way better.
It gets better. I used to go, when you talked about using some of Chick-fil-A's ingredients to doctor this up, I used to order Chick-fil-A slaw and I would notice it would taste different sometimes, and they said it was based on how long it had sit, you know, it sat in the refrigerator. Slaw gets better. Now, obviously, it can't sit too long in the refrigerator.
So
it only lasts a few days.
One of the big ingredient differences in Chick-fil-A's in this is Chick-fil-A uses mustard powder.
Mustard powder,
Mustard powder, and they also use vinegar in their sweet slaw.
Okay, I was going to say this clue at the end because I'm usually making sweet slaw and sour slaw together, side by side. And if you have a very bitter cabbage and you are making sweet slaw, you add just a little drop of vinegar to your sweet slaw and it'll take away that bitter taste. Not too much because you want it to be a sweet slaw, but a little bit of vinegar takes away the bitterness. It's already good right here.
It's really good. It's perfect. But we're going to go a little Chick-fil-A on it. So just about a 1/4 teaspoon. It's not a lot because this stuff is really strong. And the other reason I mix up my stuff liquid is because...
I'm going to add just a tiny bit.
The other reason I mix in the liquid is because that 1/4 teaspoon of mustard is hard to mix up across the whole big bowl. But if you mix it as a dressing, you can just pour it over. Oh, just a dab.
Just barely a dab of vinegar. Not
little dab will do you.
Little dab will do you. And that is some pretty looking slaw right there.
This looks amazing. And if you let this sit in there... I'm going to turn this down so you can see it.
Now, I'm a big slaw person. My husband, when I was pregnant, I craved Chick-fil-A. And if Gil came home with a Chick-fil-A sandwich without the slaw, I would say, honey, everybody knows you have to have slaw to eat with their sandwich. So I've missed their slaw.
I've got a little sloppy. I feel like I'm back at the house. I just spilled some over the edge of my bowl here. So this is the sweet slaw that I grew up with. And
don't even make me supper. Just get me a bowl of that.
That vinegar adds a little bit to that, though. It really does.
So good. It does. It does. You're right.
Now, you can really go wild with your slaw. If you want to add color, purple cabbage, add purple cabbage to it. My thing is if I'm slicing it in squares, I want to cut my purple cabbage in the same size I'm doing my green cabbage. You can add celery seed. Celery seed adds a really good little taste to it. I've seen people add tomatoes. I've never tried it, but a lot of people like stuff like that in it. But you can't go wrong with this just like it is. To me, this is perfection. If I'm having a barbecue sandwich, that is exactly what belongs on it. If I'm having a chicken, if I'm having Mom's fried chicken,
and
that's the only way to eat it.
This gets better if it sits in the refrigerator for a few hours. It gets better, but right now, this is just,
you can eat it just like this, but 2 or 3 hours or even overnight the next day, and you're going to eat that whole bowl if you don't have somebody to help you.
I'm fixing to eat it in just a minute.
Let's throw this in the fridge.
Sit aside. I'm fixing to eat it.
Let's do the sour slaw.
All right, let's do some sour.
Okay, so now we're going to do our vinegar slaw. I love this for hot dogs, for fish, and again, I'm cutting it the same way that I grew up cutting it. And I'm going to cut the purple cabbage the more traditional way and show you that as well. But for this, it works out real easy. Got this. Now, I cut the cabbage for the sweet slaw when I'm doing it in about little 1/4 inch to 1/8 inch pieces. This stuff right here, when I'm cutting for the sour slaw, I just shave it. It's just really shaved.
I'm clumsy. I would never attempt to do the slaw this way. I would cut my finger. I use a grater or the hand chopper that Mama Jane uses, but Dad likes to put it in a food processor, take a chunk and put it in the food processor. So whatever's easiest for you.
I don't have a food processor yet.
Whatever's easiest, but he makes this like the bags of angel hair cabbage, which is really pretty.
And it really soaks up that seasoning that you have it in or whatever. So I'll make it all like that, and then I'll just about 3 pieces, so 2 cuts, and you've just got a really good fine.
It's still fine, but it's a fancier, I think, fancier look.
It does look good, especially with like fish, or if you were doing it with like on the top of a hot dog. I should have took a picture of my hot dogs. I might have taken one when I was at the...
I started out liking the sweet slaw. That's the first one I tasted with Papa Bill. But when your dad wanted me to try a vinegar-based slaw, I thought I would never like a vinegar-based sour slaw. But as I've gotten older, I have learned to like it more and more, and I probably eat more of it than anything now. Now what I do, I will put the sweet slaw on my barbecue sandwich or on my hot dog, but I'll put a spoonful of the vinegar slaw beside it and eat it like a side, so I'm getting both with every bite.
That's the problem with making both of these, is you eat both of these.
Yeah, you do.
But, I mean, cabbage has got to be healthy for you or something, I'm sure.
I don't know, but it sure is good, and it's easy to make. It's not expensive. It's very limited ingredients. It's fast. It's so easy, and I think it complements every meal.
It definitely complements the ones I've put it with.
You make that chopping look easy.
I'm learning. I'm getting faster. The more I do it on here, I have to do it right. And I've learned you're supposed to keep your fingers like that so you don't cut your nails.
I would never attempt to do what you're doing, but it sure looks fancy.
Well, maybe I'll buy a food processor and we can just do it that way. So we've got our head of that. Now this is the way that, as I've been learning, that most people are cutting their cabbages.
Oh,
they come straight down the middle.
A new trick, okay.
And then they quarter it.
Yes.
And you can really see.
And then you can cut it out easy. Let me flip it this way. That way it's You can especially see it on a purple cabbage because
you can see that part, and then they just kind of cut that at an angle.
A little harder to see on the green cabbage, I think. But
just cut that at an angle, and you've got the core gone.
Yeah, that's great.
And it keeps you from wasting anything.
Great
so
trick.
I just actually learned that on YouTube.
Well,
so now you also can learn that on YouTube if you didn't already know it, but you probably already did.
Or if you like Mama Jane and you eat the core anyway, you're not wasting anything. She loves that core.
Now I shave this too. Really want to get this fine here. You can roll it and cut it if you really want to make sure, but I found just going down the thing
now,
of it with a
I
sharp
never
knife.
added the purple to mine, but since Zach has started that, it really does make the look a much fancier
Yeah, it tastes the same.
look.
This is just for look only.
And it makes it easier to tell the two apart. If you serve both at a party like we do,
That's the main reason I changed it
you can
up.
tell it apart a lot easier with that purple in it. You know, the purple is going to be the vinegar. The one with carrots is going to be sweet. I never added the purple and the carrots because Papa Bill and Mama Jane didn't, but I love that addition.
So we'll put that in there and let's mix this up and see what it looks like here.
I love it.
You can also shred you some carrots in this as well, give you a little orange.
Yeah.
You can put as much purple and as much green as you want to. I don't waste the cabbage, so it's right there as 1 green and about 1/4 of a red. We'll just add a little more purple.
I have found that the slaw will save in the refrigerator about 3 or 4 days if you've mixed up your slaw. It saves well for about 3 or 4 days. So your quantities may be different than our quantities. You know, we mix up a lot.
Now, if you do want to, here, I'm going to move this up where you can see it.
If you just want to mix a half of a cabbage, though, you can cut that cabbage, put your other half you're not using in a Ziploc in the refrigerator for later, and just mix up half of the amount.
Another thing is if you want to take this and you want to make it on Monday for a party on Saturday, all you need to do is take this right here. You've got it mixed up. Put this in a big gallon or 2-gallon Ziploc bag. Squeeze the air out. Zip it shut. When we mix the dressing, if you mix it separately, which the recipe will be done in the caption, then you put that in a mason jar with a lid, and whenever it comes time to make it, a couple hours before, just pour the dressing over top of it to taste, and you're ready to go. That'll help you make it a lot more in advance. And your cabbage
will last a lot longer if the dressing is not added to it.
Yes.
Yeah. And again, this is simple ingredients. You've got vinegar. You can use a white vinegar or an apple cider vinegar.
No, keep it white.
Apple cider does change the taste.
It does change the taste.
So our family prefers the white, but I've done it with both. The Dukes Mayonnaise, because it doesn't have the sweet taste that the other mayonnaise brands, so that one's important. And then pepper and salt.
Yeah.
So it's very simple, and we're going to start with just a tiny bit of salt.
When you're cooking for 19, you just do the green cabbage and keep it simple.
Just a tiny bit of salt.
Okay.
We can always add more.
It's about a teaspoon she used there.
Now, I like to do a thin layer of pepper on the top so that I can see it. This is stronger pepper than I'm used to, he said, so I'm going to stop. Fresh ground, okay. We might have a really pepper, but I like a pepper taste in a vinegar sauce.
You should be able to see the pepper. When you stir it up, you should be able, if you can't see pepper on your cabbage, you didn't put enough pepper in there.
And I'm going to let you stir again, and we'll add more mayonnaise if we need.
I will be honest, this is probably one of the simplest things to make, but after I got married and started making my slaw, this was one of the hardest things for me to get right when it came to actually not being too watery, it tasting the way that it tasted when I was growing up, the way I expected it to taste. But now I can't imagine half of the meals I make without having slaw, because it really does go with everything except for pretty much Italian food. Oh yeah, I gotta have more Dukes.
Well, I didn't have full spoonfuls a while ago. I was just scraping. We're about at the end of the jar.
I have a new. Always keep a spare Dukes in the refrigerator if your mama's coming over.
Now let's taste this. I know it might need some more
I think it's going to need a little more pepper. I think I stopped you too soon.
It's going to need some pepper. It's probably going to need some more vinegar. I like to start out little and add because, like I said, you can add, but it's hard to take away. Don't forget, the more it sits in the refrigerator, the better it's going to taste.
That's already starting to look a little better.
Oh yeah, bring some of that green back in.
The thing is, I'll just send this home with you because it doesn't matter how much we make, y'all will eat it.
Never have enough slaw. We made 4 heads for the shower. Every bit's gone.
Every bit of it.
Every bit's gone.
I was there. I went to get some of it.
All right. We just need the hot dogs to go with it now.
Where's a hot dog when you need one? Well, guys, we're going to have to go out to the grill next time.
Yep.
Everybody knows how to grill a hot dog. We'll just have a cookout anyways. Oh,
you're going to let me taste again? I'll keep eating. I'll keep eating.
I went ahead and took the sour slaw and I added some carrots, just shredded some carrots in it.
So you see it both ways, one with carrots, one without.
And I just squeezed some lime over it. That way you can tell it apart. And this is the way I do mine with fish. This is my seafood slaw. I'm out of celery seed. I was gonna add some of that too because it adds a little bit of texture. But that's kind of, the lime really adds a good hint. Try this, Mom. I don't think you've ever tried it with lime.
I've never tried lime. I love adding the carrots. It's so pretty.
You aren't much of a seafood person, but that's really, it's a great addition. It really just wakes it up. So
I like it.
It's a very clean taste.
I like it.
And then get me a different fork here. But this is the pepper slaw I grew up with. And this was my favorite all through my childhood is the sweet slaw. This is the This is the Big Daddy.
I'm gonna keep going back to this one every time. This is the winner. I mean, everybody loves it. This is memories right here.
Papa Bill's original. My grandfather has dementia now. I actually just got back from going up and looking to help build a ramp. And it's really sad to see somebody that you've went to for advice, somebody that was kind of a pillar in your life that you really depended on, losing control of their memory. And it upsets him because he wants to remember, he wants to do those things and he can't anymore. But I think we're gonna call this one Papa Bill's Slaw. This is a tribute to him.
You're gonna make me cry.
It's been handed down, and it's another one of those family recipes that mean a lot and taste great. And then this one, Mama Jane's Slaw. I can see why this is very much her style.
Yes. And if you're counting your calories, this one's the no sugar. It does have the mayonnaise, but I tell you, this is just a good tasting slaw.
Well, I'm gonna introduce this one as Zach's Slaw.
Zach's doctored up slaw.
You've met the first, my first iteration, and really, this is what cooking's about.
I love it.
You take something you love, you go somewhere, you try a recipe, you try to recreate it. You fail a few times. Yeah. You find some things you like better.
You take a little from this person, a little this from this person, and you create something.
And you create something that's yours and that your family loves. And let me know if you change things, what you add, what you like, what you don't like. And thank you guys so much for watching and tuning in. If you want to go back and watch the barbecue, hop on there and see what you think about this and which slaw you would pair with it. And thank you guys again so much for watching and being part of this community and listening to our stories.